Don't do what Nick does.
I am absolutely delighted with the performance of this bike.
Getting the tank off the CB125F is an absolute bear of a job. I'm absolutely saturated in fuel because apparently there's no way to pull it off without spilling fuel everywhere. And this was all so I could have a look at the airbox. If this thing goes back together, it'll be a miracle. The point was to get in and have a look at the air filter, although I did not need to pull the tank off to do that. But I want to pull the airbox and I want to see if there's any way I can remove that grill. Because what I'm thinking of is I've tried to run this without the air filter to improve air circulation. However, the restriction isn't coming from the filter, it's coming from that mesh right there. So if I can remove that box, I can get a look inside and see if I can't open it up a bit. The ECU is attached to the airbox at 1, 2, 3, and I pulled another one off there. We can finally see the intake tube there. So hopefully that'll just pull off. I've got to look and see if there's any sensors or anything plugged in. But hopefully I should just be able to pull that off and pull the whole box through the other side. There's a sneaky bolt in here and I've got to pull off the breather hose. Although I think it might be easier to pull off down here than it will be up here. Okay, there's another sneaky bolt down here. This ECU shroud is buttoned in so many places and it's just to make it difficult to pull the damn thing out. There is yet another sneaky bolt. This one. Hopefully that's the last one holding the airbox in. As far as I can tell, that's the sneaky bolts because this is moving a lot more freely. Yeah, pull that off. Alright, what I need to do, I need to be very careful not to yank these fuel line wires out the way. So make sure that they're tucked behind. Basically, I need 2 hands to do this, but I'm going to try and feed this tube. This might even need to come off. But I'm going to try and feed the whole thing out through the frame that way. So I had to unclip the pretty much everything that was attached to that shroud. I was just snipping cable ties that were holding the loom in place. So now I can stretch that out the way and hopefully pull it out through this side. 2 hands. Well, I have relieved the CB125F of its airbox. And look at that adorable little intake. Don't do what Nick does. Ta-da! Don't do that. That mesh just pretty much pulled out and just need to go through and make sure that there's no bits in there, which there isn't really. That's all I'm going to do. If that doesn't improve the airflow, nothing will. I'm doing this so you don't have to. Don't ever do this. Now the joy of putting it all back together before I forget how it went. So now it's time to put the air filter back in, which that's almost due for replacement, but not yet. That's still going to filter all the crap out. I'm just hoping that we're going to let more air into it like that. No idea Doesn't really matter if I blow it up. Well, I say that, but at least I've got that there to ride. And I've been wanting to do this since the first time I pulled the air filter out. I put 10,000 Ks on the bike before modifying it. What can I say? That's a good effort for me. So I finished putting the air filter back in and check in. Oh, it's a pink aeroplane. Oh, is it orange? It's not bad zoom, actually. Yeah. So that's all back together. Now I've got to set to the task of putting all this back together. And that was not easy. Not an easy job to pull off at all. As you're wondering, these little front fairing bits do not need to come off the tank in order to take it off. And they do just clip into here. I seem to have lost the other one. Alright, so the tank is back on. Everything except the seat and the side panels are buttoned back up. All that's left for me to do is to pour the fuel back into the tank, check for leaks, see if it starts up. The good news is we don't appear to be springing any leaks. Everything is secure, so everything's been put together properly. There was one mounting bolt on the other side of the airbox that by the time I realised I'd forgotten, it was already secure, so there was no point. All I can tell is it's time to turn the key. Okay. The good news is there's no engine lights yet. Well, that's a good sign. I was worried that it was going to hesitate and struggle to turn on. I'll let that idle until the revs drop. And then I'll give it a rev and see what it sounds like. Okay, so the revs are up, the revs have dropped. There's still no warning lights, which means I've buttoned everything up in the right order. Alright, I'm going to finish putting the panels on and putting the seat back on. I can't wait to take this thing for a ride now. I'll tell you, the first time I tried anything was removing the air filter, and that made it noisy as fuck. But it seems to me with the filter in, it's not ear-bleedingly loud like it was either. Alright, this is the first road test with a modified air box. Now we've heard what it sounds like just revving. Not so bad, not as obnoxiously loud as it was without the air filter in. Alright, here it goes. Oof. The bike's cruising along quite well. It's starting to rain, which is what we were hoping to avoid, to be honest. Well, first impressions, just tootling around like this, the bike feels normal.
You know what, I will say this, the bike's a lot twitchier now, which probably means it's getting that extra air. I mean, I want to say that it feels like it's performing better. You know, maybe I want to say that it feels like it's accelerating smoother. But you just can't tell that riding around town, because the bike's not truly under load yet. I mean, the plus side is that I took basically everything apart and the bike's still running and it's not making any obnoxious noises. On the one hand, I'm looking forward to opening the throttle right up, but on the other, the roads are really, really slick right now and I'm hyper aware of sliding out. You know what, the CB125F is a really well-mannered bike. I mean, I've just cut up the airbox and it's still just barely audible. I like that. I can't help but compare it to the time I just removed the air filter and it was loud, like it was obnoxiously loud. And I'm not getting that same effect. All I've done is cut out the mesh that was behind the air filter. Alright, well that was a fifth gear pull from 60 to 80 and the bike barely hesitated, so I have high hopes. Here we go. This is good. We're doing 100 Ks, which normally wouldn't happen. So far I'm pretty happy with this. I'll be struggling to hit 90 by now. I'm actually really impressed, people. I'm really impressed. Because there was always something about this road where the bike would just cut out. Oh, we'd be doing 85 to 90 Ks an hour. And now we're breaking 100. We're approaching the hill, so we'll see what speed we do at the top. But first impressions are, I'm really, really happy with this. It's holding its speed beautifully. I couldn't be happier. Like, we're maintaining 100 Ks an hour right now. And on this stretch of road, for some reason, this long, slow hill, like I say, I would not be able to hit 90 Ks an hour. So that is not a huge difference, but it's made me very happy. The hill, it doesn't even look like a hill. It shouldn't even matter. But to this little bike, it does. Alright. Now we're getting in full tuck mode here. I have to hold my helmet up or I can't see, which is ridiculous because you should not be riding one-handed in a full tuck. I am absolutely stoked about this. It mightn't look like much, but the bike is actually able to maintain a semblance of speed. I am absolutely delighted with the performance of this bike. You don't understand being able to do close to 100 k's up this hill. It's never happened before. It's never happened before. We'd be doing 75 k's an hour normally, and we've dropped down to 90, but that is still manageable. Okay, 88 k's an hour. Now we get to go down the other side. It is absolutely incredible to be hitting 100 k's on this road. Previously I was barely cracking 90. You know what? It does have better pull, and I thought that I felt that when I was leaving home, but it really does. I would call that an absolute success. I cannot wait to get this bike out on some more challenging roads now.